Hi guys, back again with 2012's Puppet Master Axis Rising, the last Puppet Master movie in the collection. There's one more, but it's a crossover, and that's Puppet Master versus the Demonic Toys, which I will be reviewing at some point, but I think I'm going to take a break after this because, wow. That's all I can say. 10 of these, 3 days. Anyway, this one is directed by Charles Band himself, and it stars, let's have a look, Kip Canyon, Jean Louise O'Sullivan, Otto Brenzina, Scott King, Brad Potts, Kurt Sinclair, Paul Thomas Arnold, Stephanie Sanditz, Ian Roberts, and Nigel McGuinness. What? And oh, I lost my point there. Anyway, whoops. So this film continues right where the Axis of Evil left off, basically. It's like the second part, and to be honest with you, I like this part a lot more because it was a lot more campy and it felt a lot more well acted. So basically, in the last one, Leech Woman, Jester, and Tunler had been kidnapped by Ozu. Basically, she ran off with them. This film starts with her running down an alleyway, like, ooh, with a bag. Well, it turns out the Leech Woman, who looks nothing like Leech Woman anymore, has escaped. And so has Jester. But one of the things that I don't understand is Tunler has a drill in his head, so why couldn't he drill through the bag? Why couldn't he drill through the bag and get them all escape? In the first movie, he would have done that. So anyway, Ozu's there, and that's when we meet Commandant Morbius, played by Scott King. Commandant is like, oh, you can't escape. You've got nothing to offer, killer. And she basically says, I've got this. And his accent goes back and forth as a German. And she basically goes, but I've got this. And Tunneler jumps out and drills one of the Nazi men one of the Nazi soldiers in the head. And he goes, ooh. And he takes it. And then she goes, you let me go out? And he goes, yes, as promised. And he basically turns around and shoots her in the head. And you're like, yay! But Ozu isn't played by the same woman, which makes you think there is no continuity on the characters in these movies. There is, like, I think Rick Myers was the same character. I think his girlfriend was the same character, and so was Guy Rolfe. But it's like, why I can't. It's like Danny and Beth. They're both played by two different people. To be fair, they are a lot better actors and actresses, but it's just so weird watching different people. So basically, he goes off with Tunler, and it turns out that he's got a doctor, Dr. Fuhrhofer. And basically, Dr. Fuhrhofer is a scientist kind of thing. And what Commandant Mobius wants him to do is basically make zombie soldiers that can live after death so that he can control the world. Okay. But it's not working, so he threatens him. And that's when Ushchi, who's basically Ilsa from the Ilsa movies, basically made in a cheap movie, and she's very Ilsa-like, if you get what I mean. She's not Elsa, but she is Ilsa, or I'm probably saying it wrong, from the Ilsa movies from the 70s. She goes up to him, Ilsa. She goes to Fuhrhofer and she goes, oh, do you not find me attractive? He goes, you're very attractive. And she gets her bust all up in his face. And he goes, oh, I've wanted you since day one. And she bites on his ear and stuff. And Commandant comes in and he basically threatens him and goes, you will not see your family if you do not do what I tell you to do. And I sound Chinese or Japanese, not German. So basically, he's fiddling about with toys. Yes, that's right. Our good scientist loves to make puppets. Yes. Can we guess where this is going? I'm going to leave you for 10 seconds to think where the story could be going. Yes. You might have guessed it. But anyway, here we go. Getting back into the review. So basically, he's left there and he's all upset and he's in love with Uchi or whatever her name is. I'm going to call her Borderline. He's in love with Borderline, and basically you go and you see Danny and you see Beth. Oh, Danny. Oh, Beth. You're like, they're happy. They're together. They've both had plastic surgery on their faces. Danny's still got his limpy leg and he's still going on about how how he wants to be in the army and he won't accept his medal for helping America because he wants to be in the army. You're like, fuck, you're like, bloody hell, Danny, get over it. You've got a girlfriend. Why would you want to go in the army? It's 1939. You want to go in the army. You want to fight Pearl Harbor. Pearl Harbor never happened yet. It hasn't happened yet. And you've got a girlfriend, a fit girlfriend, who wants to ride your sausage. And you're like, what is your problem? So anyway, you're sitting there, you're watching the film, and Danny and the puppets are like, oh, Tunneler's missing. We need to go save him. There's a bit where Danny talks to Blade, and he goes, did Tunneler escape? And Blade goes, is Tunneler still with the Japanese? Where is Tunneler? And he doesn't go, oh, Tunneler's dead. He goes, Ozu's dead. And he goes, you're like, wow, he can talk to the puppets without Blade even saying anything. I like the bit where Blade just goes. So we're going to move through the story, and basically Danny and Beth end up having Sergeant Stone, who's cruddy, a little bit weird, and she mostly just wants to kick some Nazi butt, basically. And he's played by Brad Potts. Very good. I enjoyed him actually. He brought another campy side to the film because it was so over the top. So here he is. We've got the three of them, and basically there's another scene where Commandant Marbius walks in. Fruhofer hasn't done the thing he's meant to do because he's not good at it. The guy ends up falling and his face ends up rotting the test subject. He ends up shooting Uchi because he realises that she's practically all over the doctor when she's with him. She's like this female German, basically sexual thing, like she wants to have sex with everybody practically. He shoots her in the head. Fruhofer gets really angry and he tries to bring her back to life. She walks out to him, falls down. Then he grabs hold of Tunneler. So now this is the thing. They put the injection in Tunneler, right, and the other puppets, to reanimate them. But apparently, according to this movie, you can pull the stuff back out again with a syringe. Yeah. Out of wood. You can get it out of wood. I need to get a syringe and stick it in my table, my desk, because I might be able to get the cure of life out of it. Because who knows, someone might have injected it. So he then makes a female Uchi Borderline puppet because he was making one to start off with, and basically she comes to life. She looks exactly like her practically, and she's got this bit on her chest that falls down, and where her breasts are shoots bullets. And you're like, wow, this is pretty cool. Then he makes a kamikaze one called Kamikaze, who basically blows himself up. But guess this, he can talk in Japanese. He can talk in Japanese. And you're like, he's the first one to actually be able to talk. Then he makes a wolf one, and he makes a kind of tank-like one. You know, one that rolls about and that. Which was a better version of the tank from Cursor Postmaster, to be honest. but these characters are not used properly. The full line one, he talks to quite a bit, and you find out that he's not injecting enough in them because they're getting weak. But they fight for him. So you get these moments in the film where Blade and that go against the German puppets, and it's really silly, but it's all right. It's a lot interesting than the other movie, Axis of Evil. So you're sitting there, and basically Mobius ends up on the floor, and he goes, "Save me, father, save me!" And he goes, "No, I want to make puppets all the time." And you're like, okay. And he went, "I do not want to save you." And then he tells Kamikaze to blow himself up. And they all run out the building, the puppets. And I kind of wanted it to be a bit like Predator. You know, in Alien vs. Predator, where Sandra Latham, I think her name is, runs with the Predator out the door, like, yeah, when they're running up that hill or whatever it is. I wanted to see that with the puppets. Yeah. So they blow up, and then they decide in all their wisdom to let the bloody doctor go. And you're sitting there going, they've let the doctor go, and he took the gun off the doctor, but he didn't search him to see if he had any serum on him, because now he knows the trick of getting the puppets to animate. Why would you let him get away with it when, one, he's German, two, he's technically evil because he brings puppets to life for Germany. Oh, this always does this. And you just sit there going, oh. And even at the end, you see him go, ha, because it's got the green vial. But you never guess who comes back in this one. 6-shooter comes back, and he basically shoots through the line puppet. But he's not in his usual Western gear. He's got like a black what's it called? That's it, black outlaw outfit kind of on. And he's like, bum, 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 bum. And he's got stubble, really bad stubble. You know, it's like, and at the end he goes, eh, 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 eh. And you're like, cliffhanger, because now the German doctor has the formula. Are we going to see more 1939 or 40s or whatever German puppets? And even more so, are we going to say more German in America? So this is what I don't get. The Germans in this movie are in Chinatown, and the whole of America can't find them when it's obvious they're not Chinese, and they're dressed in German outfits, going sweet and all this in Chinatown. And you're a bit like, this doesn't make sense. So I enjoyed the movie a lot more than Axis of Evil. I will say that some of the puppets actually looked more like them, like Blade and Tunneler. But Leech Woman looked nothing like she used to look like. Poor dear, she looked like her face had got swollen. Even when she tried to get that leech out, it was like, and it was like she was really struggling. As in the first one, her mouth goes, and it opens. It was really cool, you know. The Through the Line puppet was great. I did enjoy that, the gun shooting out the breast area. I did like that. That was proper, you know. Sergeant Stone, Brad Potts was awesome. He was fun, but there's a scene with Danny and Beth where they're sitting in, for some reason he's being dedicated and given some sort of award as like a protector of the country. And you're like, but what did he do? Yeah, he stopped this criminal thing with the Germans and the Japanese, but... And every time they tried giving it to him, he was like this. I want to be listed in the army with my bad leg, because when the bullets are flying, I'm going to be able to run. And you're like, yeah, you're going to die, Sonny Jim. So you're a little bit like, and you're like, okay, this guy's obsessed with it. Oh, and at the beginning of this movie, they say Ninja didn't make it. And you're like, he didn't make it? Because at the end of Axis of Evil, they're standing there, and he goes, if Ozzy wants a war, she's going to get a war, right? And it stops. But apparently the building still blew up, and they didn't have enough time to lift Ninja up. But he could lift all the others up, but he couldn't pick up the one that had the spirit of his brother in. All I kept thinking for that thing was, you disrespectful son of a... You put your brother, so you put your American brother in a Japanese ninja doll. He kills people. He looks like a severe burn victim. And then you let him get blown up. And you're like, wow, you really love your brother, don't you? I just thought that was funny. I just thought it was really funny. And you're like, Decapitron, who was Talon in 4 and 5. You're like, why wasn't he in more of the movies? Because the puppets would want him to be around, because it's Talon. You know, it's Andre Talon. They'd want him around because he's a part of them. He's their maker. So they'd want that Decapitron around, but you don't see him ever again. You don't see Torch. Not that Torch would be around back then anyway, because he didn't come into it until number 2. From my knowledge, he wasn't really made until Talon come back and was evil. So overall I did like this film. I don't know why, but there was something more campy and fun about it. I enjoyed it so much. The second half to me got a bit boring and a bit, but I did enjoy it a lot more than Axis of Evil. I loved Commandant Mobius. He was so over the top and great. I mean, this movie had a lot more fantastic actors in it than the Axis of Evil one. The Axis of Evil felt like it was made on 10 quid or $10. The Axis Rising feels like it was made on like a million times that. Still cheap B-grade movie, but it just looks better. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna rate it. But oh, the Blu-ray has first in 20 years, the incredible Video Zone featurette, a killer puppet master montage, an uncensored Grindhouse preview, and remastered full moon trailers. This film was directed by Charles Band, and the story was by Charles Band. But I did find, and I can't remember who it was. Where was it? I did find out some information about things like how like these things, you know, things that you learn from a film. Like number 1, you'll always have time to change your hair, makeup, clothes, and overall appearance when you on the run from puppets. Number 2, AK-47s were actually used by Nazis and used before 1947 when the Russians started using them. Number 3, it's easy for Nazis to get into the US undetected and prance around Los Angeles in full Nazi uniforms. 4, while each woman and jester could easily escape a cloth bag, a puppet with a jewel on his head cannot. 5, cool puppets like Ninja just disappear without a cool explanation. 6, in one day, Danny was able to upgrade from a small apartment to a 2-story house. And that is a good point, actually. For some reason, in this movie, they go, oh, so the sergeant goes, oh, you live on your own, and he goes, yeah, I do now. And he's in a big, massive house, when originally it was in a small apartment. So that was something that I didn't understand. What's this? Only Chinese women can be called dragon queens, not Japanese women. 8. Don't trust even Bible salesmen. 9. Women were allowed to be high-ranking officers in the Nazi army. 10. The US Army is unable to detect Nazis who wear full uniforms in the Chinatown while they're the only white people there. 11. Protecting heroes is beneath a sergeant who has served 11 combat tours. 12. Nazis were able to sneak in Hitler busts and swastika statues into the US. Yeah, that's another thing. Apparently, the German army members sneaked in Hitler, basically, busts. And that, and you're like, but realistically, that won't work, surely. 13. Nazis are not afraid to speak German in public and on US soil. 14. Heels are the perfect footwear for women sneaking around the Nazi hideout. 15. As menacing as puppets with guns can look, there's a chance that they're very inaccurate, especially if they're designed by Nazis. 16. Kamikaze is historically the first puppet who says words as opposed to grunting, whimpering, and laughing. 17. What the hell happened to Blitzkrieg and Wehrmacht? And 18. Letting the people who create evil puppets go instead of getting him arrested by the army is a smart move. So, overall, Puppet Master 10 Axis Rising is not a bad movie. I actually really enjoyed it. I thought it was fun, I thought it was campy, and I thought it had a lot to offer. It obviously had a better budget, and this was the last one up to date to my knowledge. Even though, as far as I know, there is another one possibly coming out of Jeffrey Combs as the Reanimator and the puppets. I'm not sure if that's still going ahead, but I heard it was going to happen. It would make sense because they both use green stuff to animate each other, so it would make sense, wouldn't it? So yeah, I enjoyed the Folder line storyline with the scientist. I enjoyed the Germans a lot more. They brought a lot more depth with the character. I enjoyed seeing the puppets, even though some of them still didn't look alike. Blitzkrieg and Wehrmacht were the two in Axis of Evil, but no, not Axis of Evil, in this movie. But for some reason they disappear. I don't know why, but they disappear. So this is a fairly decent movie. I say I guess you have to watch Axis of Evil to kind of follow the story. But this is a lot better acted. It's got a lot better script, and it's a lot more fun. Probably a lot more fun than the last 3 movies, to be honest. So I highly recommend giving it a go. I'll give this one a 3 out of 5 because I enjoyed it and I thought it was a real fun movie. The second half it got a bit dull. It picked up after about 20 minutes near the end, and it was alright again. It's probably one of the better sequels, to be fair. And when you think the whole thing now is what, 23 years ago, I think this movie was like this, like the movie franchise started. I think it was 23 years ago, and this one is now basically. So yeah, this came out in 2012. Give it a go, watch it. It's not a bad movie. It's a great movie. So give it a go. Thanks for watching, guys. As always, thanks for watching, and please subscribe. Thank you, and take care.